Far away from busy cities, there was a very small and quiet village called Green Hollow. The village was surrounded by soft green hills, tall trees, and long peaceful roads that almost nobody used. Every morning in Green Hollow started the same way. The sun slowly rose behind the hills. Its warm golden light gently touched the roofs of the small wooden houses. The birds woke up first. They sat on tree branches and softly chirped, as if they were whispering good morning to the world. In one small house near the edge of the village lived an old man named Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas lived alone, but he never felt lonely. His life was very simple and very calm. Every morning he woke up at exactly 6 o'clock, not because of an alarm clock, but because his body was used to the quiet rhythm of the village. When he woke up, he slowly sat up on his bed and stretched his arms. The wooden floor made a soft creaking sound as he placed his feet on the ground. Then he walked slowly to the window. He opened the curtain. Outside, the morning mist gently covered the fields like a soft white blanket. Mr. Thomas always liked this moment. He would stand there for a few minutes, doing nothing, just watching the quiet world wake up. After that, he walked to the small kitchen. The kitchen was simple. There was a wooden table, 2 chairs, a small stove, and a kettle. Thomas filled the kettle with water and placed it on the stove. Soon, the water started to warm. A quiet bubbling sound slowly filled the kitchen. While waiting, he took a small jar of tea leaves from the shelf. He carefully placed a little tea into his favorite cup. This cup was old, slightly cracked, and light blue in color. He had used the same cup for almost 20 years. When the water finally boiled, he slowly poured it into the cup. Warm steam gently rose into the air. Mr. Thomas sat down at the wooden table and quietly drank his tea. Outside, the birds continued singing. The village slowly woke up, but everything still felt calm, slow, and peaceful. Mr. Thomas took another slow sip of tea and looked out the window again. It was going to be another very quiet day in Green Hollow, and he liked it that way. The calm mornings, the soft sounds, the peaceful silence. For Mr. Thomas, this simple life was more than enough, and the day had only just begun. After finishing his warm cup of tea, Mr. Thomas gently placed the cup in the sink. The kitchen was still quiet, and the soft morning light slowly filled the room. He looked at the small clock on the wall. It was only 6:30 in the morning. In Green Hollow, mornings always moved very slowly. Nothing rushed, nothing felt loud or busy. Mr. Thomas quietly walked to the wooden door of his house and opened it. A cool breeze touched his face. Outside, the grass was still covered with tiny drops of morning dew. Each drop reflected the soft sunlight like little shining crystals. Thomas stepped outside and closed the door behind him. Every morning, he liked to take a slow walk around the village. Not for exercise, just for peace. The dirt road in front of his house was empty. There were no cars, no noise, and no crowds. Only the gentle sound of birds and the wind moving through the trees. He began walking slowly down the road, step by step. The ground made a soft crunching sound under his shoes. On his left side were wide green fields. The grass moved slowly with the wind, like calm waves in the ocean. On his right side were small wooden houses. Some had smoke slowly rising from their chimneys as people inside prepared breakfast. After a few minutes, Mr. Thomas reached a large oak tree. This tree was very old. Some people in the village believed it was more than 100 years old. Mr. Thomas often stopped here during his walk. Today, he did the same. He stood under the tree and looked up at its long branches. The leaves gently moved in the wind. Soft shadows danced on the ground. A small squirrel quickly ran across one of the branches and disappeared into the leaves. Mr. Thomas smiled a little. Moments like this were small, but peaceful. After resting for a minute, he continued walking. Soon he passed the village bakery. The door was still closed, but a warm smell of fresh bread slowly floated into the air. Mr. Thomas took a deep breath. The smell of bread always reminded him of the quiet mornings he had lived for many years. The village was still slowly waking up. A few windows opened. Some birds flew across the sky. The sun climbed a little higher. But everything was still calm, still slow, still peaceful. Thomas continued his quiet walk down the long village road. There was no hurry. There was nowhere special he needed to go. Just walking slowly in the quiet morning of Green Hollow. Mr. Thomas continued walking slowly along the quiet road of Green Hollow. The morning air was still cool, and the soft sunlight gently warmed the ground. After walking for about 10 minutes, he reached a small open area near the center of the village. There was a simple wooden bench there. The bench was old and slightly worn, but it was strong and comfortable. Mr. Thomas had sat on this bench many times over the years. So, as usual, he slowly sat down. The wood made a quiet creaking sound. From this bench he could see a large open field stretching far into the distance. The grass moved softly with the wind, creating a calm and peaceful view. Mr. Thomas placed his hands on his knees and simply watched the field. There was nothing special happening, and that was exactly why he liked it. A few white clouds slowly floated across the sky. They moved so gently that it almost looked like they were standing still. In the distance, a farmer walked slowly beside his small cart. Two sleepy cows followed behind him across the field. Everything in Green Hollow moved at a slow and gentle pace. A small brown bird landed on the ground near the bench. It hopped once, then twice, looking for tiny seeds in the dirt. Mr. Thomas watched the little bird quietly. After a moment, the bird flew away toward a nearby tree. The wind gently moved through the tall grass, making a soft whispering sound. Thomas leaned back slightly and took a slow, deep breath. The fresh village air felt calm and clean. For a few minutes, he did nothing. He simply sat there, enjoying the quiet morning. The sun slowly climbed higher into the sky. The village was waking up little by little. Some people began walking along the road. A distant dog barked once, then became quiet again. Mr. Thomas looked at the peaceful field one more time. Then he slowly stood up from the wooden bench. His morning walk was not finished yet. There were still many quiet roads in Green Hollow, and many peaceful moments waiting in the day ahead. So he began walking again, step by step, slowly, down the quiet village road. Mr. Thomas slowly continued his morning walk through the quiet streets of Green Hollow. The sun was now a little higher in the sky, and the soft golden light gently touched the rooftops of the village houses. After a few minutes of walking, he arrived at a small and cozy place. It was the village bakery. The bakery was not big. It was a small wooden building with a simple sign hanging above the door. The sign moved a little in the morning wind and made a quiet creaking sound. Mr. Thomas often visited this bakery during his walks. Today, the door was open. Warm air filled with the smell of fresh bread slowly drifted outside. The smell was soft and comforting. Mr. Thomas stepped inside. The bakery was warm and peaceful. Behind the wooden counter stood the baker, Mrs. Helen. She had been baking bread in this village for many years. When she saw Mr. Thomas, she smiled gently. "Good morning, Mr. Thomas," she said in a calm voice. "Good morning," Mr. Thomas replied quietly. On the wooden shelves behind the counter were rows of fresh bread. There were round loaves, long loaves, and small soft buns. Mr. Thomas slowly looked at them. But he always bought the same thing, a small warm loaf of bread. Mrs. Helen wrapped the bread in a piece of brown paper and handed it to him. The bread was still warm. Mr. Thomas thanked her and placed the bread carefully under his arm. Before leaving, he stood near the door for a moment. Inside the bakery, The gentle sound of bread being placed on trays could be heard. Outside, the quiet village morning continued. The air smelled fresh. The sky was clear. Everything felt slow and peaceful. Mr. Thomas stepped outside again and continued walking along the road, holding the warm bread. He was not in a hurry. In Green Hollow, no one ever rushed. The days moved slowly, just like the soft wind through the trees. And Mr. Thomas liked that very much. With the bread in his hands and the quiet road ahead, he continued his calm morning walk. After leaving the small village bakery, Mr. Thomas continued walking down the peaceful road of Green Hollow. The warm loaf of bread rested gently under his arm, still giving off a soft, comforting smell. The road slowly led him toward the edge of the village. There, beyond a few tall trees, was a quiet little river. Mr. Thomas liked this place very much. He walked slowly along a narrow path covered with small stones and soft grass. The path gently curved until the river finally came into view. The river was calm and clear. The water moved slowly over smooth round stones, making a gentle flowing sound. It was not loud. It was the kind of quiet sound that made people feel relaxed and sleepy. Mr. Thomas stepped closer to the riverbank. Tall green grass grew near the water. Some wildflowers gently moved with the wind, adding small touches of color to the peaceful place. He found a large flat stone near the edge of the river and slowly sat down. For a few moments, he simply listened. The sound of water flowing, the quiet wind moving through the grass, the soft chirping of birds somewhere in the trees. Everything felt calm. A small fish suddenly jumped from the water and quickly disappeared again, creating a tiny splash. The circles of water slowly spread across the surface of the river. Mr. Thomas watched them fade away. He then took the small loaf of bread from the brown paper. Carefully, he broke off a tiny piece and dropped it into the water. Soon, two small fish swam near the surface and gently took the bread. Mr. Thomas smiled quietly. He enjoyed these simple moments. No rush, no noise, just the calm rhythm of the river and the peaceful morning. The sun slowly climbed higher in the sky, warming the ground and the flowing water. Mr. Thomas sat there for a little longer, listening to the quiet sounds of nature. For him, this peaceful river was one of the most relaxing places in all of Green Hollow. Eventually, he slowly stood up again. His walk was not finished yet. There were still quiet paths to follow and many slow moments left in the calm day. Holding the rest of the bread, Mr. Thomas began walking again along the peaceful river path. Mr. Thomas slowly walked along the narrow path beside the quiet river. The sound of flowing water followed him as he moved step by step through the peaceful morning. Not far ahead, there was a small wooden bridge. The bridge was very old. Its wooden boards had faded over many years, and the railings were smooth from the hands of people who had crossed it countless times. Mr. Thomas walked toward the bridge slowly. When he stepped onto it, the wood made a soft creaking sound beneath his shoes. But the bridge was strong. It had been standing there for many, many years. Mr. Thomas stopped in the middle of the bridge. From there, he could see the river flowing gently below. The sunlight reflected on the water, creating small sparkling lights that moved slowly with the current. He placed his hands on the wooden railing and looked down. The water was clear enough to see smooth stones resting at the bottom of the river. Some small fish moved quietly through the water. A soft breeze passed across the bridge, gently moving the leaves of the nearby trees. The leaves made a quiet rustling sound. Mr. Thomas took a deep breath. The air smelled fresh and clean. For a few minutes, he simply stood there, watching the water, listening to the quiet sounds of nature. Across the river, a wide grassy field stretched toward the hills in the distance. A few birds flew slowly across the sky. Everything felt slow. Everything felt calm. This was one of Mr. Thomas's favorite places during his morning walks. Sometimes he would stay here for a long time, just standing quietly on the old wooden bridge. Eventually, he looked up at the bright sky again. The morning was slowly turning into late morning. The village would soon become a little more active, but the peaceful feeling of the day still remained. Thomas gently pushed himself away from the railing and continued walking across the bridge. On the other side, another quiet path waited, and he slowly followed it, continuing his calm journey through the quiet land of Green Hollow. After crossing the old wooden bridge, Mr. Thomas continued walking along the peaceful path on the other side of the river. This path was even quieter than the village road. It was a narrow country path made of soft dirt and small stones. Tall grass grew on both sides, gently moving with the slow morning wind. Mr. Thomas walked slowly, enjoying the calm surroundings. The sun had climbed higher in the sky now. Its warm light spread across the fields and trees, making everything look soft and peaceful. As he walked, he heard the quiet buzzing of bees. Some bees were flying from flower to flower, collecting nectar from the wildflowers that grew beside the path. Mr. Thomas stopped for a moment to watch them. The bees moved slowly and carefully, working quietly in the warm sunlight. After a few seconds, he continued walking again. A little farther down the path stood a large apple tree. The tree was tall and old, with wide branches that stretched in every direction. Some small green apples were already growing on the branches. Mr. Thomas had passed this tree many times during his walks. Today, the leaves of the tree gently rustled in the wind. A small bird sat on one of the branches, softly singing a quiet song. Mr. Thomas stood under the tree for a moment and looked up at the branches moving slowly above him. The sunlight passed through the leaves, creating dancing shadows on the ground. Everything felt calm. Everything felt slow. It was the kind of peaceful silence that made people feel relaxed. After resting there for a moment, Mr. Thomas slowly continued down the path again. In the distance, he could see the small hill that stood beyond the fields of Green Hollow. He often walked there during his morning journeys. So with slow and steady steps, Mr. Thomas followed the quiet country path toward the hill. The day was still young, and the peaceful story of his calm walk was still continuing. Mr. Thomas continued walking along the quiet country path. Slowly, the path began to rise upward toward a small hill that stood peacefully outside the village. The hill was not very tall, but it offered a beautiful and calm view of Green Hollow. Mr. Thomas walked slowly up the gentle slope, step by step. The ground was covered with soft grass, and small wildflowers grew here and there. Some were yellow, some were light purple, and some were white like tiny stars on the ground. The wind was a little stronger on the hill. It moved through the grass, creating a soft whispering sound. Mr. Thomas finally reached the top of the hill. He stopped there and looked around. From the hill, he could see the whole village. The small houses looked quiet and peaceful. Thin lines of smoke slowly rose from a few chimneys where people were cooking their breakfast. The river looked like a long silver ribbon flowing gently through the land. The old wooden bridge looked very small from this distance. Mr. Thomas took a deep breath. The air felt fresh and cool. He always liked standing here because everything looked calm and slow from the top of the hill. A few birds flew quietly across the open sky. White clouds moved slowly above the hills. For a few peaceful minutes, Mr. Thomas simply stood there and watched the quiet world around him. After resting at the top of the hill, Mr. Thomas slowly walked down the other side. At the bottom of the hill stood a very tall oak tree. This tree was one of the oldest trees near Green Hollow. Its trunk was thick, and its branches stretched wide like giant arms, reaching toward the sky. Mr. Thomas walked toward the tree and stood beside it. The shade under the oak tree felt cool and comfortable. He gently placed his hand on the rough bark of the tree. The bark felt strong and old, shaped by many years of wind and rain. The leaves high above softly moved in the breeze. Sunlight passed through the leaves, creating small patches of light on the ground. Mr. Thomas slowly sat down on the soft grass beneath the tree. The ground was quiet and peaceful. From here, he could hear the distant sounds of the village, but they were very soft and far away. A gentle wind continued to move through the branches above him. The leaves made a calm rustling sound that almost felt like a quiet lullaby. Mr. Thomas closed his eyes for a moment and relaxed. This tall oak tree had given shade and comfort to many travelers over the years, and today it was giving Mr. Thomas another calm and peaceful moment in his slow morning journey. The day in Green Hollow continued quietly, and Mr. Thomas was in no hurry at all. After resting under the tall oak tree for a while, Mr. Thomas slowly opened his eyes again. The gentle wind was still moving through the branches above him. He quietly stood up from the soft grass and looked around. The sun was now higher in the sky. The peaceful morning of Green Hollow was slowly turning into a calm afternoon. Mr. Thomas brushed a little dust from his coat and began walking again. The path ahead gently curved toward the village. As he walked, he noticed the warm sunlight covering the fields. The tall grass shined softly under the golden light. A few butterflies slowly floated through the air, moving from flower to flower. They moved in a calm and unhurried way, just like everything else in Green Hollow. Mr. Thomas followed the path quietly. Soon he reached a small wooden fence that surrounded a wide open field. Behind the fence, a few cows stood peacefully in the grass. Some were eating slowly. Some were simply standing still under the warm sun. One cow looked toward Mr. Thomas for a moment, and then calmly returned to eating grass. Mr. Thomas smiled slightly and continued walking along the path beside the field. The day felt warm, quiet, and peaceful. The slow rhythm of the village continued, just as it always had. After walking beside the field, Mr. Thomas reached the familiar village road again. The road was still quiet, but now a few villagers had begun their daily activities. A man slowly pushed a small cart down the road. A woman watered the flowers outside her house. Two children quietly walked toward the small village school with their bags. But even with these small movements, the village still felt calm. Nothing felt rushed. Nothing felt loud. Mr. Thomas walked slowly down the road, greeting a few people with a gentle nod. The warm sunlight touched the wooden houses and small gardens. Some houses had colorful flowers growing near the windows. A light breeze moved through the village street. Wind chimes hanging near one house made a soft musical sound. Mr. Thomas paused for a moment to listen. The gentle sound of the wind chimes mixed with the quiet sounds of the village. It created a calm and peaceful feeling. After a few seconds, Mr. Thomas continued walking again. His slow journey through Green Hollow was still going on. The peaceful afternoon had just begun, and there were still many quiet moments waiting ahead. Mr. Thomas continued walking slowly along the calm village road. The afternoon sun now felt warm but gentle, spreading soft light across the houses and trees. Soon he reached a small public garden in the center of Green Hollow. The garden was simple but very peaceful. There were narrow walking paths made of small stones. On both sides of the paths, colorful flowers grew in neat rows. Some were red, some yellow, and some soft purple. A few wooden benches were placed under the shade of small trees. Mr. Thomas slowly walked through the garden. The air smelled sweet because of the flowers. A few butterflies floated quietly from one flower to another. Bees softly buzzed as they worked in the garden. Mr. Thomas stopped near a small fountain in the middle of the garden. The fountain gently poured water into a round stone bowl. The sound of the water was soft and relaxing. He stood there for a moment, listening to the calm sound of the fountain and the quiet wind moving through the trees. Everything felt peaceful. After a short rest, Mr. Thomas continued walking slowly through the garden path, enjoying the calm beauty of the quiet place. After leaving the garden, Mr. Thomas walked toward the center of the village. There stood an old clock tower. The tower was tall and made of stone. At the top of it was a large round clock that had been telling the time for the village for many years. Thomas stopped and looked up at the clock. The long hand slowly moved across the numbers. The time was now early afternoon. Suddenly, the clock tower made a deep, slow sound. Dong. The bell echoed gently across the quiet village. Then again, dong. The sound was calm and steady. Many people in Green Hollow use this clock to know the time of the day. Mr. Thomas listened quietly as the bell rang. After the final sound faded into the distance, the village returned to its peaceful silence. A few birds flew past the tower. The sky above was clear and bright. Mr. Thomas smiled softly and continued walking down the quiet street. His slow and peaceful day in Green Hollow was still continuing, and the calm story of the village moved forward with the quiet passing of time. After passing the old clock tower, Mr. Thomas slowly walked back toward the quieter side of the village. The afternoon sun was warm, and the air felt calm and gentle. Soon he reached a small tea house near the corner of the road. The tea house was a simple wooden building with a few small tables outside. It was not very busy, and that was exactly why Mr. Thomas liked it. He slowly sat down at one of the tables. A kind old woman who owned the tea house brought him a cup of warm tea. The cup gently released soft steam into the air. Mr. Thomas wrapped his hands around the warm cup and took a slow sip. The tea tasted simple and comforting. A light breeze moved through the street, gently shaking the leaves of the nearby trees. The quiet afternoon continued. A few people walked slowly down the road. A bicycle passed quietly. Some birds rested on the rooftops. Mr. Thomas sat there peacefully, drinking his tea one slow sip at a time. There was no rush, just a calm afternoon moment in the quiet village of Green Hollow. After finishing his tea, Mr. Thomas thanked the tea house owner and slowly stood up. He began walking again along a long road that stretched toward the edge of the village. Tall trees grew on both sides of the road. Their wide branches created a cool shade over the path. The sunlight passed through the leaves, creating soft moving patterns on the ground. Mr. Thomas walked slowly under the trees. The wind gently moved the leaves above him. They made a soft rustling sound that felt calm and relaxing. Some dry leaves slowly fell to the ground. Mr. Thomas stepped over them as he continued his quiet walk. The road ahead was peaceful and almost empty. Far away, the hills of Green Hollow rested quietly under the afternoon sky. Thomas took a deep breath of the fresh air. Days like this were simple. Days like this were calm. And that was exactly how he liked them. Step by step, he continued walking down the long, shady road. The peaceful day was slowly moving forward. Mr. Thomas continued walking along the long, shady road. The tall trees slowly began to thin out, and the road gently turned toward another peaceful place near the village. Soon, he reached a quiet lake. The lake was wide and very calm. Its water was smooth like glass, reflecting the blue sky and the soft white clouds above. Mr. Thomas walked closer to the edge of the lake. Near the water stood a small wooden dock. It stretched a few steps into the lake and gently moved with the soft waves. Mr. Thomas slowly stepped onto the dock. The wood made a quiet creaking sound under his feet. He walked to the end of the dock and stopped there. From this spot, the whole lake looked peaceful and still. A pair of ducks slowly swam across the water, leaving small ripples behind them. The gentle wind moved across the surface of the lake, creating tiny waves that softly touched the wooden dock. Mr. Thomas placed his hands behind his back and looked out over the water. The quiet sound of nature surrounded him. The wind, The water, the distant birds, everything felt calm and slow. He stood there for a few peaceful minutes, enjoying the relaxing view. The afternoon sun began to move slowly across the sky. The day in Green Hollow was gently moving toward the evening. Mr. Thomas knew that soon it would be time to return home. But for now, he stayed at the edge of the lake, quietly watching the peaceful water. His calm journey through the village was still continuing. After spending some quiet time at the lake, Mr. Thomas continued on his way. Thomas slowly turned and stepped off the wooden dock. The afternoon was beginning to fade. The sunlight had become softer and warmer, spreading a gentle golden color across the trees and fields of Green Hollow. Mr. Thomas began walking back toward the village. His steps were slow and relaxed, just as they had been all day. The road was very quiet now. A light breeze moved through the tall grass beside the path, making a soft, whispering sound. In the distance, a few birds were flying back toward their nests. The sky was slowly changing colors. Some parts of the sky were light blue, while others had soft shades of orange and pink. Mr. Thomas liked this time of the day. Evenings in Green Hollow were always peaceful. As he walked, he passed a small wooden fence and a field where the cows were now resting quietly. Some of them were lying down in the grass, enjoying the cool evening air. Mr. Thomas continued down the road toward the village houses. A few warm lights had already begun to appear in the windows of the homes. People were slowly finishing their daily work and preparing for the quiet evening. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked once and then became silent again. Mr. Thomas took a deep breath of the cool evening air. The day had been long, calm, and peaceful. But the quiet story of the evening was still beginning. So he continued walking slowly toward his home at the edge of Green Hollow. As the evening light slowly faded, Mr. Thomas finally reached his small house at the edge of Green Hollow. The sky above the village had turned soft orange and purple. The air felt cooler now. Thomas opened the wooden door and stepped inside his quiet home. The house was simple and peaceful, just as it always had been. He gently placed the remaining bread from the bakery on the kitchen table. Then he walked to the window and looked outside. The village was slowly becoming quiet again. Some lights were glowing warmly in the windows of nearby houses. The road outside was calm and empty. Mr. Thomas walked into the kitchen and placed a small kettle on the stove. Soon the water began to warm. The quiet bubbling sound filled the room again, just like it had in the morning. He prepared another cup of tea. The warm steam slowly rose into the air. Mr. Thomas sat down at his wooden table and took a slow sip of the tea. The evening was calm. Outside, the sky slowly grew darker. The first stars began to appear high above the village. Mr. Thomas sat quietly, enjoying the peaceful silence of the evening. It had been a long and gentle day in Green Hollow, and the night was slowly arriving. After finishing his warm cup of evening tea, Mr. Thomas slowly stood up from the wooden table. The house was very quiet. Outside, the sky had turned dark blue, and many small stars were now shining above the peaceful village of Green Hollow. Mr. Thomas walked to the window again and gently opened it. A cool night breeze slowly entered the room. The air felt fresh and calm. From far away, he could hear the soft sounds of the night. Crickets were quietly singing in the grass. The leaves of the trees gently moved in the wind. Everything in the village had become slow and peaceful once again. Thomas closed the window halfway and turned off the small lamp in the kitchen. Then he walked slowly toward his bedroom. The wooden floor made soft creaking sounds under his steps. In the bedroom, the moonlight softly entered through the window and rested on the floor. Mr. Thomas sat down on the edge of his bed for a moment. He thought about the quiet day he had spent walking through the village. The river, the hill, the garden, the lake. Every place had been calm and peaceful. He gently lay down on his bed and pulled the blanket over himself. The night outside remained soft and quiet. The stars continued to shine above Green Hollow. Mr. Thomas slowly closed his eyes. His peaceful day had come to an end. Only the quiet night remained. The night in Green Hollow had become very calm and still. Inside his small house, Mr. Thomas lay quietly in his bed. The soft blanket kept him warm, while the cool night air gently moved through the window. Outside, the moon slowly rose higher into the sky. Its pale silver light spread across the quiet village. The small houses rested peacefully under the night sky. The fields and trees stood silently in the gentle moonlight. Nothing moved quickly in Green Hollow. Even the night felt slow and peaceful. Thomas listened quietly to the soft sounds outside. The gentle singing of crickets, the quiet rustling of leaves, the distant flowing sound of the river far away. All these sounds blended together like a calm lullaby. His breathing slowly became slower and deeper. The long, peaceful day had finally come to an end. From the quiet morning tea to the slow walk through the village, the gentle river, the hill, the garden, and the quiet evening at home, everything had been simple. Everything had been calm. And now the village was resting. The stars continued to shine softly above Green Hollow. The moon slowly crossed the sky, and inside the small wooden house, Mr. Thomas peacefully drifted into sleep. The quiet village rested with him. The wind moved gently through the trees. The night continued calmly, and the peaceful story of Green Hollow slowly faded into the silence of the sleeping world.